But it's really nice to see you all. Thank you so much for joining today on Zoom to talk about women's lacrosse and our Russell Street Field renovation project, which we are so excited to be engaging in. My name is Carrie Gemmer. I'm an alumna of the college, class of 2007, excuse me. I'm also a member of the advancement team and a tried and true Bobcat Athletics superfan. Thank you again for being with us today. For those on the call, if you are willing, I'd love it if you would drop your name and class year or parent affiliation in the chat, and just so we can get a sense for who is on the call with us today. In order to give you a sense of what's ahead for this session, we are joined by Coach Renee Dowd, Celine Cunningham, and Sadie O'Neill. And we also have our Director of Athletics, Jason Fine, on the call. Sadie is class of 2024 and a captain from Concord, Mass. And Renee and Sadie will share a team update ahead of their upcoming season, and then we'll share progress and details about the Russell Street Field project and renovation that will change the game for our Bobcats. So I'd like for this to be a true and interactive dialogue. Feel free to come off mute, ask questions, share comments in the chat throughout our discussion, either by using the chat feature or just joining in with your voice. We would love that. And for everybody's information, this is being recorded. Excuse me as I let more people in off of the waiting room. But this meeting is being recorded so that we can share the updates and the project progress with other interested alumni and family supporters from Bates. So and with that, I am going to make a few introductions and then I'll turn it over to Renee and to Sadie. So Renee Dowd is entering her third season as the head women's lacrosse coach. And prior to her time at Bates, she served as an assistant coach at the Division I Elon University, an assistant coach for Colby College, and was a championship student athlete at Trinity College. So she's no stranger to the NESCAC. And Renee is joined by, as I said, her women's lacrosse captain, Sadie O'Neill, and they will both share their own perspectives, update, and goals for the upcoming season. And Celine Cunningham serves as our Deputy Director for Athletics and our Senior Woman Administrator. She's been with Bates since 2018, and prior to her time at the college, she worked for Stevens Institute of Technology in multiple roles, including Associate Director for Athletics and also Head Women's Lacrosse Coach. So we're glad to have all three of them to speak to what's happening in Bates athletics and specifically in women's lacrosse today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Renee and Sadie. And again, welcome and thank you.
Before I dive into introductions, I will say that Celine is also our volunteer assistant coach. So it's incredible to have an administrator on staff who is dedicated to lacrosse as well, and comes and watch practices every once in a while. But Carrie kind of introduced me, so kind of said my background. Really excited for year 3. I'll kind of let Sadie introduce herself and kind of where she's at, and then I'll kind of provide an update on the season and how we've been training this fall.
Yeah, so I'm Sadie. I'm a senior at Bates. I'm the captain of the team and with 2 other girls in my grade. I'm from Concord, Mass, which was said, and I'm an economics and sociology major here. I live off campus this year, but I've lived on campus the past 3 years. I didn't go abroad, so I've been here the whole time, which has been amazing. And I think, having an extra fall was kind of fun to be able to spend more time with the team and get some extra practice in. In terms of my student athlete experience, I think one thing that's so special about Bates is that our team is so close and it's like a family. Everyone eats breakfast together. We always are together hanging out. And it's really special to see all of the different individual personalities and skill sets comes together to kind of create an awesome team. So I'm really looking forward to next Monday when we start season to kind of be able to be on the field together and put everything that we've worked towards all fall into the rest of the season. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Sadie. So I'll provide just a little bit of an update and kind of recap from our season last year. We were 5-10, which is obviously, you know, a record that we want to improve on this year. But we had some really successful games. I think the other thing that you'll notice about our season and may not reflect in our record, but we improved as a team every single game. And, you know, as a coach, that's all I can ask for. But I just think it's really impressive to see the fight and the resilience that our team had throughout the season. And again, just some of the close games. And then the great thing about this year is we had 10 practices this fall. So very, very new for the NESCAC, something that's not happened before, but we were able to have 10 coach-led practices where we honestly played a lot of lacrosse. And Sadie can kind of talk about this a little bit too, but, you know, we really just tried to play as much lacrosse as possible, really kind of build some chemistry with, you know, our 9 new first years and really just kind of like fall in love with the sport of lacrosse. And we're just really, really happy that our conference has allowed for us to do that. I think too, we're in a position, our team, where those practices definitely helped our team grow. And I think that it's definitely crucial for the next couple of years for our program to have those practices. So throughout the fall as well, on top of those practices, again, Sadie can kind of touch on what the rest of the team was doing, but they lifted 3 times a week. They did a speed, agility, and quickness class twice a week. So they were working really hard, definitely very busy with lacrosse stuff, but obviously some other things as well. And then looking ahead to our season this year, we were scrimmaging Colby, which is kind of fun, scrimmaging someone within our conference, which usually happens because we like to scrimmage someone close by. And then we open up with Stevens in Hoboken. They're ranked number 17 this year, which is you know, an incredible way for us to start our season with a super competitive game outside of our conference. So not a super glamorous spring break trip, like I know the team has gone to California in the past, but we're really excited to open with someone that's very competitive. It's going to be their first game as well. So kind of hitting the same experience with them. And then we have another out of conference game after that in Worcester State, which we played them last year and had we found some success against them. I think we had like 8 goal scorers that game, which is really exciting. And then our first conference game, which is Hamilton, which we've actually beaten them the past 2 years as our only NESCAC win. So I think that's a fun one to start with because we've got some confidence against Hamilton. So I think that'll be a really fun game. And then, you know, we get into the swing of things with all of our conference play with a very competitive schedule as always. And we're really looking forward to it. Sadie, I don't know if you had anything to add either about the fall or anything that you're looking forward to this season.
Yeah, I think that like our team has put a ton of work in this fall. Like, as you said, we pretty much had every day something lacrosse related throughout from September to December, like whether it was individually or in a small group or we got together as a team sometimes. So I think that I just think this season is going to be really good because I think all that hard work will pay off because I just am really proud of everyone because we're in pretty good shape to do well. So yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say is our team got custom sticks this year. So they say Bates Women's Lacrosse. It's something that the team has done in the past, but we were able to do it this year. And the sticks came at the perfect time. It was a week before finals, right before the team left for break. So it was like that little inspiration to kind of keep working right before, you know, a very busy time for the students. So it was a really fun surprise when we received those in the mail.
Thanks, Renee. As Renee told you, I help out with lacrosse. I think that's my pure joy. I love going out to practice. Ironically, I coached at Stevens, which is our first game, but I am pure Bobcat all the way. But lacrosse is my joy. I played at Maryland, spent my career coaching lacrosse. So the opportunity to join with the team and how they embrace me is so great. So it's fun to be a part of it. And it's really fun to be on this call because it's great to see so many parents and then the alums that, you know, I can probably appreciate some of the errors, whether I coached against you maybe at some point or just, you know, that experience of playing back in the day. So it's great that you're all here. I certainly will spin my lacrosse love in this conversation, but I also will talk, and I know Jason will join in as well, but I'll talk about the impact of this project will have on our lacrosse team, but also on our athletic department. Our president came into our staff meeting last week and announced that this is a go. So we're really excited that this is going to happen. It's going to impact not only our women's and men's lacrosse team, but it's going to have a huge impact on our soccer program, our college recreators that are interested in going to play pickup, our club sports, and even the community. Because if you ever spend any time in Lewiston in the summer, you're going to see every field being used by community members. There's pickup soccer games. Soccer is the lifeblood of Lewiston. And it's in a way that we can be able to, share our space with our community. And then the other opportunity is maybe get some revenue from maybe camps and clinics and things like that. So,
did you feed her this morning?
I just wanted to talk a little bit about how exciting we are about this project. I know, if I speak just for Sadie, the opportunity, and she's going to live this legacy because she'll be graduated, but the opportunity to have practice at a time where you're not the late practice and it's cold, the opportunity to have, go to dining hall before it closes and the hot food gets pulled away, the opportunity to even host an NCAA tournament, you're going to get an opportunity to be able to have it because you have an adjacent practice field that 3 teams would come to your campus and you'd be able to have that practice. Garcelon will still be their home, but it will definitely open up opportunities for the lacrosse team, the soccer program, and everybody in our community. So couldn't be more excited. And, just to talk about the leadership of the college, President Jenkins is 6-7 months in, and he is committed to athletics, and the college is committed to this program as well, besides, our fundraising effort. So there's a really good energy buzz around this. So it's the start of certainly some other projects that we're working on. But this is something that is going to happen. And certainly we're going to need your help to make that happen. But couldn't be more excited about it. And I know Sadie will come back for her first alumni game and be able to play on that if there's a football game going on or whatever the case may be. But it's going to be a huge impact on our student athletes and our college.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Celine. That's a great introduction to the project. And Renee and Sadie for talking about the team in the fall that you've experienced and the training to date. I can't believe that your season will begin with your first game in just 3 weeks. That's incredible. And to kick us off, I just dropped a website in the chat that is where we are sort of housing the information for the Russell Field renovation project. But I'm going to speak a bit more about what that looks like in detail. So, and it's my privilege to do so and to be fundraising for this project. It's such an important one for Bates Athletics, for fitness, wellness, and recreation at the college and the community more broadly, as Celine mentioned. So 40% of our students are varsity athletes, and it's no surprise to members of our community that we have some work to do to enhance our facilities and create new spaces for our teams to train and perform. And as our new president, Gary Jenkins, has become acquainted with the college and begun to socialize his initiatives, he's been vocal about the need to enhance the student experience, which includes the experience of our student athletes. Because of this, you'll see more efforts geared towards athletics as a strategic imperative in the months and years ahead. And in addition to ensuring our athletic facilities are suitable and competitive, there's also focus being paid to fitness, wellness, and recreation for the general population, as we've alluded to. But kicking these efforts off in earnest, we've launched the Russell Field renovation project. The overall project cost is estimated at $3.5 million, and it will update our current track and grass field complex to a synthetic turf with lights and eventually grandstands. That's likely the second stage of this project. We've set a fundraising goal of $2 million, and to date, from very early supporters, we haven't even really launched this publicly, we've raised $500,000, and we're in that dollar total is climbing every day. So Bates is investing in this renovation as well, which is really important and a signal of pride in our athletics and support of our incredible athletes. Bates is committing $1.5 million to this project. And as Celine mentioned, construction is set to take place this summer, and the field will be ready for competition for our fall season in 2024. So you're all Batesies, you're either alums or current parents, you know that we have 31 varsity teams, but just 2 multi-use fields, Garcelon and Russell. Only Garcelon is turfed. And this poses challenges with weather and daylight that we experience in late fall, early spring, and even throughout the spring, honestly, at a place like Bates. And not only are there scheduling issues, but especially in the spring season, some of our teams are practicing late after dinner and in the darkness. So Russell Field will serve as both a game and a practice field. And with the grass, it's unable to be plowed. When it is turfed, our 2 lacrosse teams in the spring will be able to practice at the same time during the warmest parts of the day during the coldest months of the year. So not only is it a flexibility reason, but there's just understanding just that impact alone will have a big benefit for our athletes. So as Celine mentioned, this renovation will enhance the experience for our soccer, lacrosse, and track and field athletes specifically, but multiple fields will also help Bates obtain more NCAA bids, athletic visibility, and make our college more attractive to athletic recruits. So I realize that's a very quick rundown of the project. To see renderings and to get a bit more detail, the update or the link that I posted in the chat shows more information about the Russell Field project. I'd love to also answer any questions that anybody might have for any of the speakers and for me, and also turn it back to Celine and Renee to expand a bit upon what I've said. But first, any questions?
Hi, my name is Lori Lombardo. My maiden name is Jessup. So I graduated in 2004. So hard to believe, but 20 years ago. So if I can actually walk you back, when I came to Bates in the fall of 2000, I played field hockey, and the Campus Avenue field was brand new turf. So, which was amazing because, and maybe this is hard to believe now, but at the time, not all NESCAC schools had turf fields. So, you know, I think I definitely had an appreciation for having that, especially as it got into lacrosse season, because it could be plowed and we could practice, you know, even though there were like mounds of snow on the sides. So I was just actually curious and I apologize for, you know, just not knowing. I live in Philadelphia, so I don't get up to campus as much as I would like. But I wasn't sure what the current status of Campus Avenue Field is. And just curious to know kind of what you had mentioned. I know Garcelon Field is now turfed. So kind of what the current usage of fields is.
Lori, that's such a great question. I'll turn it over to you, Celine, in just a moment, but I'm of your generation, and it was the Campus Street Field was the lacrosse field for many, many years. It is now the home for field hockey, and the specifics as to why that's the case, I'll let the athletic administrators talk about that, but thank you. I'm now revising my notes to make sure that I bring that into the history of the fields and what we are using. But great question.
Lori, I'd love to hear that story, and I guess I could go offline and ask more stories about your history here. But our field hockey team, if you follow them at all, we had this amazing season, and I think our coach will attribute some of that success, besides, you know, the athletes' hard work, is the surface that they get to play on. So that is a surface specifically for field hockey. Other teams may use it, but we can't wear cleats on it. You have to wear sneakers. It isn't sized right it isn't lined for anything but field hockey, which really gives our team such an advantage because they have that opportunity to have that all year round, basically. Jason might pop in at some point, but I think that Danny, our coach, Danny Kogut-Ryder, will recruit using that, you know, that language, because it is very unique. And I think you experienced some of that early on, it was a game changer for our program. And she has been there for 11 years. And, you know, she continues to increase and like, you know, lacrosse, NESCAC is the most competitive league for field hockey. To have that advantage, we have to find advantages any opportunity we can, and it is a huge impact. So our club sports will use it. As I said, in the summer, we'll have recreators on that field, but we have to be really restrictive because it is hard to maintain. It is so specific to field hockey. We can't wear cleats on it. Unfortunately, we're shooing people off the field sometimes when they have cleats because it will ruin it for our field hockey team. But it is a great opportunity, and I see that same opportunity for our soccer lacrosse athletes.
Yeah, and I'll add, that was a really good question. There's only, I think now 2 or 3 other NESCACs that still play on AstroTurf. And so like Celine said, there are no lacrosse lines on that field, but we actually will look to go on that field once or twice this year just to get some ground balls in if we are playing, because we're playing at Bowdoin this year, which is one of the only teams that do play on AstroTurf. So we won't have full practices there, but we will look to go out there every once in a while just to change the surface up and make sure that we can handle some different surfaces.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to give Jason the floor to just talk a little bit of, elaborate a little bit more on what I talked about, the impact of the athletic program.
Thanks, Celine. And it's not an illusion with the not muting, she's sitting right here. So in the same space. First of all, thanks for being here, everybody. And when you have experts in the field that you're trying to talk about, you sit back and keep quiet. And I can listen to Renee and Celine talk about lacrosse and how we need to really work to benefit our student athletes, specifically in different sports. We hear it all the time, and you can tell when Celine talks, it really is her passion. She was quite the player and also quite the coach, and I'm glad that we have her on the administrative side here to help advocate for the students. But Lori, to your point, at that time, we were probably ahead of the game in some ways. And that we've taken a hit there, and we've worked really hard over the last few years to make the case for athletics, recreation, fitness, wellness. It's such a huge part of people's lives and of our students' lives, but for 40% of our students, it's a really important part of the decision to come here. And our coaches work really hard to make sure that the student athletes get a great experience in every aspect, just like everyone else here does at Bates. But our athletic facilities have been a real hindrance to that. And probably one of the only exceptions is the field hockey field, where it can be a real positive in recruiting. We have 5 fields on the whole campus for everything that needs to go on, everything that Celine mentioned, whether it's our athletics teams, our club teams, other groups, and we do want to be a good community partner when we can. But really this, it's a far-reaching prospect when you think about, and Renee can talk about it, and Sadie can certainly talk about it, everything from your study time to when you can get a meal to what classes you're gonna have to take. So the idea that we will have this field and it will have lights, it's going to be kind of an exponential benefit. And on top of that, we know that this is just the first step, right? And Carrie knows this really well because we work on a lot of projects together with advancement. That it's part of more of a master plan, a strategic plan that we've been working on for athletics and athletics facilities, but it benefits more than just the varsity athlete. It benefits all the students. It benefits faculty and staff when you talk about things like fitness and club teams and community partners. So it's a fun part of our job that we get to actually, we've made plans several times for projects like this, and having Gary Jenkins on board now as our president, and having, we have a trustee subcommittee that is dedicated specifically to athletics and wellness and recreation, which is something I don't think that's ever happened in the history of Bates. So it's an exciting time, and and we're excited to get this going. So thanks for being here. I would love to, answer any questions you all have as well. And I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, and then obviously I kind of wanted to talk about how it impacts us. Obviously, having another practice field is the most ideal situation, but I think it's more than just having a separate field. I think it's just like they said, the timing of when we can practice is huge. I think we're one of the only NESCAC teams that does flip flop with the men, going 4:30 to 6:30 and then 6:30 to 8:30. And Sadie can kind of talk about, the meal aspect of that, where the dining hall closes at 9, they take away the hot food sometimes before they're able to get there based on our practice time. So I think that's one of the biggest, benefits of having this field. But I would say too, it's in a really good spot where like sunlight is going to hit it, and it, might melt faster than Garcelon. I think that's another piece of the puzzle of, being able to make sure that the snow removal is all set. And then, like they said, having the lights just allows for us to practice earlier and earlier, in the colder months and the darker months while we're on campus. And just allows us to have kind of a home base. I think, in talking about this project for next year with our men's lacrosse coach, of thinking about who's going to practice where, and, we're all still committed to having our games on Garcelon because, we love playing there. It's in the middle of campus. We have, more fans because they can't walk by the field or they can't walk to the dining hall without walking by our field. So, that's one of the major benefits of Garcelon, but, having a second field is crucial to us having some success. And lastly, I think the one thing I do want to point out is, we do have, strength and conditioning programming that happens on the turf. And so we do have indoor turf when the ice isn't down in Underhill, but when the ice is down, having a field this close would be ideal, because I think that we could get some more strength and conditioning stuff outside on the turf, getting more conditioning for our team outside, getting them used to, that cold air. So having a second field benefits, our off season, but also in season. Sadie, I don't know if you had anything to add, just based on, I know you won't unfortunately use it, but how that could impact, you as a lacrosse player.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could speak to a little bit about what we've talked a lot about is the timing and like the meals itself. I know personally when we have late practice, you have to eat dinner at like 4:30, and then you get out of practice at 8:30, and usually there's no dinner left. So then you have to like eat cereal or something, or you're forced to like go out to dinner. And I think it's like definitely a challenge and transition to get used to in terms of just like having to supplement your nutrition, and like being an athlete, obviously like that is the most important aspect, is like being able to fuel your body. And I know like I have a few friends on the field hockey team, and it's just nice to be able to have a consistent practice schedule. They practice every day 4 to 6, and then they move on and eat dinner as a team. And I think then they have the time to get the sports training if you need to get ice or things like that, do the recovery that they need, and then also be able to like eat dinner that is actually nutritional. And so I think that would be super beneficial for an athlete in general.
Yeah, Sadie, you sparked the athletic training conversation as well. I think, having a consistent practice schedule where you do have time to recover with your athletic trainer on campus while, they're not rushing off to get home, or, I mean, they spend a lot of time with our athletes. I'm not trying to say that they want to leave our athletes, but, they spend a lot of time here too. So I think having that consistent schedule where, we feel really good about the amount of time that the student athletes have in the training room, because they know that there's still going to be hot food after they go to the athletic trainers. So Sadie, really, really good point there.
Those are such valuable perspectives. Thank you so much, Sadie and Renee.